All right. Welcome to another exciting edition of Victory Never Sleeps. Today, we're going to see who joins us. Um, idea is to have an episode today for the Baldrshof district. It's a little bit hectic. We didn't think about it when we planned out this episode, but at Baldrshof, coming up in just a couple of days this weekend, we are celebrating Freyfax, which is the Baldrshof um, national event every year. That's kind of the focused regional event. We've got people coming in for this event from all over. We've got folks from Georgia and Florida coming up for it. Folks from, I think we got somebody from Indiana and from Ohio going there. I will be flying out early in the morning with my wife and daughter, so that's exciting. It's going to be the first time we're going to get to see Baldrshof. So yeah, looking to be an exciting event. Our cast for this evening grows as I've been speaking, so that's exciting. Before we get kicked off, some top of the show things, as I mentioned. Freyfax Baldrshof is this weekend. We've got some stuff going on Friday, Saturday, and then closing out on Sunday. If you are interested, if you'd like to make it, if you can make it, you should. And you should reach out to one of the fine folks on this broadcast or to any of our folk builders. We can get you all set up if you'd like to be there. We'd love to see you. I'd love to get you to experience the amazing place that Baldrshof is and come and celebrate Freyfax with us. So something to think about. I know that's really short notice, but coming up, if you are interested in, let's call it Central Montana, we are having Freyr's Harvest Feast, and that's the 20th through the 22nd of September. It'll be next month. I'm going to make it up there. I've wanted to go see that now for some time. I'm very excited. So if you're interested in doing that, if you are in the area, or if you want to make sure that you are in the area, you should still reach out to one of the folk builders. We'd love to get you set up and have you come out and celebrate with us. Also, should go ahead and plug Winter Nights in October. If you are planning a little ways out, we got Winter Nights in October. This time, for the first time ever, it's going to be held in New Hampshire. It's the first big AFA event that we have done north of Pennsylvania. So this is really exciting. I've never been to New Hampshire. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome. More info to come as you're looking forward to it. Again, reach out to one of our folk builders. We can get y'all set up if you'd like to attend. But it's going to be an amazing event. It's going to be beautiful that time of year in that part of the country. So definitely something to get on your calendars and think about going if you can go to it. And then kind of closing out what we've got scheduled so far for the year as far as big national events. We have Feast of the Iron Yard coming up in November 8th through 10th in South Dakota. So if that's something you guys would like to make it to or are able to make it to, I'd love to see you there. Love to see you guys at any of these events or all of these events. Would be even better. So if you guys want to come out, meet folks, see what it's all about, we would love to have you there. If you're a member and you haven't been to one of these, why not? You should do it. We got a big spread. We got something going on in Minnesota and in Montana and New Hampshire and South Dakota. So kind of all spread out. A lot of cool things going on. We would love to have you guys be a part of it. Other stuff, top of the show. Really appreciate all of the donations over the last few months. We've done really well on paying down our debt on Nyordshof. That's going to be the first step in us getting Freyshof is to pay off the remaining balance on Nyordshof. So you guys have been great. We've made a lot of progress on that. Still got a ways to go, but we appreciate all your guys' generous donations. Your generosity is much, much appreciated. And yeah, thank you. As it looks now, we've got 81,600 to go. Sounds like a lot, is a lot, but it gets chipped away every time one of you guys donates. A little goes a long way. And if everybody does a little, we'll get there sooner than we think. So thank you very much for everyone who's done that. I should also mention at the top of the show some merchandise we have tonight. These are particularly dynamic with the red and the black. I think that's pretty cool looking. Some athletic wear along with some hoodies for Baldrshof. So that's pretty exciting. I think those look neat. Hopefully these will be big sellers. If you guys are interested, never know how long we're going to have these products. We're still, we're in a figuring out process on our store. So far, the stuff's been really nice quality. So that's really nice. People have been pretty satisfied. I think we've had some really good designs. So if you guys are interested, we really appreciate your contributions. Looks like we have got Jeff Jones joining us for the first time, or at least first time watching us live over in the chat room. Welcome, Jeff. Glad to have you with us. Checking to see if there's any other stuff to hit at the top of the program. Not sure if there is. I want to introduce the folks we have with us. Looks like Ashley disappeared, but she has risen. So before we introduce our special guest, I suppose I'm still hosting. So our special guest for the evening, I want to first, in case this, like Jeff, maybe their first broadcast, to manage the Asatru Folk Assembly, we have divided up the world, but the vast majority of our members in the United States. But it's important to remember all of our brothers and sisters who are in other countries around the world. We have members in 14 different countries right now. But this kind of is a diagram and breaks it down into what the Hof districts are. So we have a district that is, I guess, roughly surrounded by and focused around one of our Hofs. We have 4 Hofs, and so as you can see, we have separated them by the kind of color of our Hof's heraldry. And we've gone through and we did our first 2 Hofs, which were Odin's Hof, that you see there in red, Thor's Hof, that you see in orange, and now we're on the 3rd Hof of the Asatru Folk Assembly, Baldrshof. And that Baldrshof itself is located in Murdock, Minnesota. But all those states you see in the blue there and corresponding, kind of take those lines and draw them up through Canada. That is what Baldrshof district currently is. So it's Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Missouri, Iowa, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota, and the other one,
Kansas.
I feel a little bit better because I've not been to Kansas, so give me a little bit of an excuse, but only a little. But yeah, there we go. That is the district this represents, and got a few different folks to talk with you this evening, and that may change over the course of the broadcast. But let's introduce the folks that we have, and we're going to go around in the order that it is. My screen's everybody's screen. I'm so used to seeing folks like this on a video call, not on one of our live Victory Never Sleeps episodes. So, Chris McDowell, this is your first time. Welcome to Victory Never Sleeps. Tell folks who you are, how you came to Asatru, how you came to the Asatru Folk Assembly, and where you're working out of, if you would, please.
I'm out in Iowa. I've claimed Asatru for just over a year now. I found the AFA through that I believe it was the Guardian hit piece that was wrote about the AFA and Baldrshof. And hearing some of the things that had to be said, I decided to do my own research, and I've come to find out this is exactly where I needed to be, and it's what I've been looking for my entire life. I was raised with a Christian background, and it never connected with me. And for years, I've always tried to find what was supposed to be. And after I had my first experience, my first bloat with folk builder Jason Gallagher for a boating on the Peak in Hudson, Wisconsin, I felt that connection immediately, and I knew I was where I needed to be. And I wanted to start sharing that same experience that I felt and have been missing out my life to do the same thing and start bringing folk home.
Well, welcome. We're glad you're here with us. Other two folks have been on before, but still, please introduce yourselves. Tell us, I don't know, give folks an introduction if they haven't heard from you before, and kind of tell them where you're located. Jason, welcome. Jason, you are on mute.
Oh, that was Nick. That was Nick. My name is Jason Gallagher. I'm a folk builder in Bloomington, Minnesota. I've been around for a little while. I also run the Kindred program. We've been hosting. I'm part of Northern Blood Kindred too, part of in this part of Minnesota, and we've been hosting events for quite a few years. And this will be the ninth Fall Fest that we've had. And fun fact, Matt, you and I are the only two that have been to every single one of these.
Wow. Okay.
I
hadn't realized.
Last year after I kind of looked at the attendance and everything, and throughout the years, it's just you and me. But it's amazing how far we've come, and that beautiful hop that we have, and we have such great folk, and it is amazing to have a hop to go to. I mean, it's great to be with your folk, standing and blow it in a circle. It's cool in the backyard, but it's even more awesome when you're at a hop, the piety and everything. And Baldrshof, the energy there is just amazing.
Well, excellent. We're glad to have you on with us this evening. And then, Ashley, tell folks about you and where you're coming to us from.
I'm coming to you from Baldrshof. I'm at the Hof right now, but I live in, we're in Minnesota as well, just a couple hours from the Hof. When I found the AFA was through an article. It was accidental. Happened to be a time in my life where I was I was definitely in some need of spiritual guidance and pregnant with my youngest, and had just lost my husband who had introduced me to Asatru, and in a small, wonderful small town, but a very, very Christian town. And then I found this article, and all I saw was there's a church in Wilmer, and looked it up and mapped it out. And from my doorstep to the doorstep at Baldrshof at the time, it was 44 minutes, and at the time it was just opening. So not even dedicated yet, but so just 3 Hofs. So being that close to one of 3 in the country was pretty astounding to me. And I reached out and I talked to Jason that night, and then I was a member, and here we are.
Excellent. So, actually, first, GW Farnsworth bought us 5 coffees. It's a $25 donation. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. If anybody wants to do the donate us coffee thing, there are instructions in the description of the video. We appreciate that. Thank you. So, 2 of you guys mentioned that you found all of this through the hit piece by The Guardian. I know we've talked about it on the program before, but I know we get new listeners that haven't been on, I'm not sure if we've talked to you about this yet, Ashley, but I know we haven't talked to you about it, Chris. Yeah, it's really interesting. Those of you that might not know, Baldrshof itself was a former Lutheran church, and in a short interval, it had gotten rezoned for residential, and the people who took on that job and thought they were going to turn it into a house got a very, very small start on that process, and then decided not to. So we did not really realize when we got in there, but we had to go through a zoning process to get it zoned back to its original purpose as a house of worship. And that involved having to have that proposal go in front of the city council. And as such, Antifa in Minneapolis got a hold of it, and it caused a big kerfuffle about it. And in doing so, folks at the Guardian ran a hit piece on us that they kind of presented in a really dishonest way. And it was one of the best things to ever happen to us. It drastically increased our membership, certainly there locally, and continues to bring members to us to this day. So that was kind of a fortuitous happenstance that occurred with that. What do you remember about that, Chris? Like, what about that video brought you to having an interest in the Asatru Folk Assembly?
They would speak a lot about the hate that would be about us, or about the AFA in general before because I wasn't a part of. But I would just look up and I would see pictures, and it seems just like a gathering of just amazing folk having a grand time and worshiping their gods. And I was like, okay, this doesn't seem like what I'm being told. I don't see anything hateful. I looked up Runestone and read everything, and I'm like, there's nothing about this seems full of hate. So I decided to fill it out. I had a conversation with folk builder Jessie Schaefer, and she explained everything else. And I was like, okay, I want to go and be a part of this and actually see what this is about. Told me about the moot, and ever since then, I knew that it had nothing to do with hate, because that was the only word I could keep hearing was hate, 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 and all we talk about is love and honor. So here I am now.
Well, excellent. Glad you're with us. And I see Jeff, our new visitor over in the chat room, says that's how he heard about the Asatru Folk Assembly as well. So there you go. Ashley, same question.
Well, to clarify, my I guess exposure or introduction to the AFA was a different hit piece, a more local one. It was just the Wilmer paper had something about this white supremacist church that was coming to Wilmer and blah, 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 just lots of stuff. And you kind of read through all that and just kind of found the facts and looked into it myself. But it was just a kind of this perfect trifecta of a time period in Minnesota, especially because it was right after the George Floyd situation happened. And so there's all this uproar and this anxiety and all just, craziness going on here. And it was 2020 COVID. Everybody was just at home with nothing to do but to find things to either fear or complain about or, be ridiculous about. And so all those things just kind of fueled this, this kind of big to do about us, but, again, the Hof being 44 minutes from where I was standing, finding that out was just astounding because I was, like I said, pregnant with my youngest. I already had a 9-month-old, and my late husband was the guru of all this. He'd explain it to me in very easy ways. But I was novice at best, and I was really trying to do some readings, and I was having some difficulty there because I didn't know where to start. I just didn't have anybody. I didn't have anybody to talk to or ask. And this just presented itself, whether it was, masked in hate or not. But to piggyback off the hate thing, we get a lot of attention too through the, I don't want to credit their name here, but organizations that put together things like hate lists and hate maps and all these hateful things that are just so hypocritical in and of themselves to be calling us hateful when they're, compiling a list of people that they see as hateful.
Yeah, that would seem self-evident, but yeah, the folks that talk so much about tolerance and how hateful we are the ones trying to get people to protest our exercise of our religion and causing threats to be made towards our houses of worship and a lot of nonsense. But so that silliness is cool because it brought everybody, or it brought so many people here and so many people home to Asatru. But the cooler, I guess, part of the story, and this is something I want you guys to speak on, and Jason, maybe you've got something to start us with on this, but how has our relationship with the town of Murdoch and like the general area been? How's that developed over the years?
It's turned into like a really great friendship. We figured that once they learned who we really were through our deeds and didn't listen to all the stuff they were reading and hearing online, they would realize, the town folk would realize that we were decent people. And we started building relationships with our neighbors, and people would stop by when we were working on the Hof in the early days and whatever. And we would wave and people would be like, "Hey, what's going on?" And they would ask us questions. And as time went on, we built more and more relationships with the local people, and with the food pantry especially. I mean, Ashley can speak on that. That's really what's created a nice bond with people. And we have the regulars that come in and whatever. And it's come a long way. Because I remember before we got the Hop and whatever, I remember thinking, yep, they're going to go crazy. Because, you go back to the very first Fall Fest, how we got kicked out of our first place and blah, blah, blah. Long story. But we do that being Minneapolis, and like Ashley said, with the George Floyd thing just happening recently, everybody was losing their shit and whatever, so to speak. So we knew we were in for a ride. But once we got to that small town and they realized everything and started seeing everything, we built it. It took a little time, but that's what it's all about. It's through deeds and doing good things and building those relationships. And all our neighbors love us.
Yeah, it's certainly true. That's what I've seen there. It's very nice. It's easy to say whatever you want to say, but reputation really matters. And in real life interactions with people, with communities, makes such a difference. It's been such a blessing having Hofs, because having the Hofs has really given us a opportunity to meet our neighbors, to interact in the communities that we find ourselves. And it's been an overwhelmingly positive experience. That's something that we find at all 4 of our Hofs, and that we're, developing at Sigerheim, where we, have folks out there every now and again, but we don't have a building established yet. We still have a lot of goodwill and a lot of people that get to know us and become our friends. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, Ashley, you do a lot of the charitable interaction that we have with the community. What's your experience been like dealing with, real people in and around Murdoch?
Yeah, it's been all good. There hasn't been I guess I would say the only kind of, I guess, hiccup or non-constructive interaction that we had was, there's always going to be an outlier or two, in some of the more prominent names in this whole scenario since day one with the city, had me removed from the Facebook group. And that really stunk, because after the Thanksgiving food shelf, we had run out of stuff, but I had funds that were donated, and someone had found me on Facebook and was like, "Hey, I just got off work. Are you guys still open?" And I was able to go and meet her at Walmart and use those funds and get her Thanksgiving dinner, and that only happened because we had that avenue to each other. And, so I'm grateful that happened, but then it was halted. So I guess I've tried to find more creative ways. Like I give out my flyers and business cards and stuff and tell people to reach out. But people are so grateful. This is a really, really hardworking small community that really doesn't take, and so if they're allowing you to contribute into their lives, it's a big deal. I mean, we're consistent, we're here. Some months are more abundant than others, but there's always things and us, people come to see us too, which is fun, which is great, So even in the winter months, we have very, very cold and snowstorms people trudge through. Their closest resource is in Wilmer, it's about 30 miles. So I think an hour round trip for an uncertain, resource to go and rely on it's not always plausible, so it's really a gap that we're trying to fill.
So, also to you, tell folks a little bit about what we do there. If they don't know about our food pantry, if they don't know about, you mentioned that it's different or amped up around the holidays. There's the thing you do with school supplies. Let people know kind of what we do there as far as charitable outreach.
Yeah, so this month is probably my favorite food shelf that we do, and we do the school supply giveaway. So what it's kind of evolved into is I split up donated backpacks, kind of younger crowd and older crowd, boys and girls, and then just take a peek at the local school supply list and just get a good idea of what they need. And we pack these backpacks full of really everything, minus the Kleenex boxes and stuff like that. But the cool part is I get pretty cool backpacks. And so then when they come through the food shelf line, if they're with, sometimes I'll go home and grab them and come back, and they can come over and pick out a backpack. The first year I did it, Matt, you were here, as you've been at everyone. And the first two that came over were the two little girls from across the street, and one loves kitties and one loves unicorns, and one got a kitty backpack and one got a unicorn backpack, and they were so excited. And it was great. It was fun. And being a mom myself, back to school stuff is crazy, so though it might not check off the whole list, it's a decent and helpful chunk. And we've been very fortunate to have those things all fall into line by, happenstance, really. The first year, all those backpacks were donated because I was doing what I do and talking to the person at the checkout while I was waiting for the Savers manager to come up and put in our tax exempt stuff. So next time we come in to get things, it would be tax exempt. And so I was just talking to him, and he had mentioned that his girlfriend works at Dollar General, and they'd just gotten a bunch of the backpacks dropped down to a penny. So he grabbed 25 of them, and he was just going to donate them to Savers. And did I want them? Yeah. Yes. Yes, I do want all those 25 backpacks. And so all those things are, you can't necessarily plan or, I guess have a backup plan for if it doesn't happen. It's just an energy and a genuine being that we all collectively kind of put into what we do. And it works out pretty well most of the time because we mean it, so.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, and if folks don't know, it's a little bit different at each of the Hofs on exactly shape some of that takes, but we do the food pantry once a month at each of our Hofs. No matter what, we always make sure that happens. And then different Hofs has different things going at different holidays, different times of the year, different things depending on the community. But that's something I'm very proud that we do, and has been a tremendous thing to build our reputation in the community, and also to just meet the members of the community and be part of the area in which we live. It's a big deal, and some of these towns that we're in are relatively small, and we're able to be a significant, force for something positive in those communities, and that's really nice. Very fortunate that we have that opportunity. We have a question here. Gothi Trent East wants to know, for the Baldrshof leaders, which Hof do you plan to visit next? Chris?
Odenshof would be my next one. I've already had a chance to visit Njordshof.
Excellent. When are you coming out to Odenshof?
I plan for midsummer next year.
All right. That'd be fantastic. Jason, what Hof are you going to visit next?
Well, I've always said I wanted to go to Thor's house since I've been to Odenshof 3 times. But with next summer being the 30th anniversary, I know tons of people are going. So I'll probably end up at Odenshof before I'd end up at Thor's house. But Thor's house would be the next one on my list for sure.
All right. Ashley, what Hof are you visiting next?
Odenshof is the plan next year. So I haven't been to any of the other Hofs. I've been to lots of other national events that were, I feel like they were held at other places more often than they are now because our Hofs are growing. But they just all happen to be at not Hofs. So Odenshof is next.
Excellent. Well, we just had a Njordshof member donate $150 to help us pay off Njordshof. We appreciate that so much. Thank you. So there's more to the district than just Baldrshof, and I know it gets a lot of attention, and certainly that's kind of where a lot of this coalesces. But we mentioned another event that we are having in y'all's district this year, and that's Feast of the Einherjar coming up in November. Ashley, do you want to tell people about Feast of the Einherjar, what it is, and what it, where it's going to be, what to expect, and kind of plug that to folks that maybe have not attended in the past?
Yes. So the Feast of the Einherjar is an event that's held over Veterans Day weekend or very near to it every year. And it is centered around our veterans and the Einherjar, of course, being the chosen fallen warriors that's brought up to Valhalla for to fight for Ragnarok. And that aspect in and of itself being the focus and the connection that a lot of our veterans find when they come and gather. We've had an amazing turnout every year. Last year we were thrown at kind of every curveball that you could imagine, and it almost didn't happen many times, but then it did, and it was great. It was awesome. Everybody had so much fun, and it was just beautiful and perfect weather in November in South Dakota, and it was just it was really great. Nathan does an Einherjar bloat, which is very in depth, and a lot of work goes into that. Virtually when one year ends, the next year's it's being thought of and worked on and everything. And so this year it'll be we are having it at the same location just because it was perfect. It worked really well, and they actually it was a proud AFA moment. They reached out they reached out to us to see if we wanted to have our event there again. This, back in I think March, maybe. No, in January they did. In January they reached out to see if we were going to do it there again, which I thought was neat. Not that we ever see any pushback or anything, but it's just a neat feeling to. That's how good everybody was. And we had about 82. I can't remember. 82 or 86 this last year. So really good turnout.
No, it's fantastic, and it's always very nice when facilities that we use want to have us back. It's something that back in my day, so there was a time when we didn't have all of these hofs, and what we did before was exclusively having to, rent out a camp or a lodge somewhere or some other facility to host events at. And it was always a point of pride with us that we tried to make sure we left it, at very minimum as good as we found it, if not, a little bit better, taking care of any, mess that we might have found when we got there, and really making a point of taking care of the facility and being good guests. Hospitality is one of our virtues, and it's very important. And I think that we're used to conceiving of it in the sense of welcoming people into something that's ours and being good hosts. I think all too often, sometimes we don't think as much about how important it is to be good guests somewhere. And when we're using other people's facilities, other people's things, taking really good care of them, being people that, weave that as part of their reputation. So I'm very happy to hear that. The Feast of the Einherjar that Gothi Nate Erlinson puts on are very, very nice. They're very important for our veterans, but also for the rest of us that attend. Just the atmosphere is really nice. They do a really good event, and Ashley is a far bigger part of that than she may let on. Especially last year, like she was hustling, making it turn out to be as spectacular as it was. So we really appreciate that.
Thank you. And the last thing that I will plug, that we decided we will plug with it, is following the event is our wedding. So that is going to be not part of the event, but along with the event. So. Yep.
Congratulations. I'm very excited for you guys. I'm looking forward to being at your wedding, and makes me happy.
Yep. He's happy about it too. We have more leadership. They're just in the woods or something. I don't know.
Yeah. It's sparse tonight. A lot of people.
There's so many of us.
So for a variety of reasons, I know a number of our leaders, especially our Gothar in the area, and some from outside of the area, are involved in a spiritual retreat right now, in preparation for this weekend's event. And so that's affecting stuff, but everybody else is kind of hustling with last minute things. And it sounds like there's some questionable weather in certain parts that are making it a little bit more challenging for folks to get on. We do have more leaders in that blue space than just these three folks, but you have to take my word for it for right now. Cody wants to ask, what's your favorite Baldrshof tradition? Chris, what's your favorite Baldrshof tradition?
So far, I would have to say that my favorite tradition would be the Boulders Bowl that Whit and Brandy Fassett has us dance to at every major event. Or by major, I mean like every 3-day event.
So you planning to bust a move this weekend?
I'll try to knock out a few. I may tip over with my bad back, but you know what? I think it'll bring plenty of good laughs and have a good time nonetheless.
There you go. Jason, what's your favorite tradition that y'all have?
There's so many. I can't really pin one down. I mean, like Chris said, the Ballers Ball is kind of fun, but I like the the offering things that we do in the morning, the dedication to the altars. I don't know if they do that at the other hops too, but we do the dedication to Elsie and then to Balder and then to the ancestors, different things. People take turns going up to the different altars. I do enjoy that. That is something that I never experienced until we went to the hop. I don't know if that is something that is kind of been used at everyone or if it's just exclusively to Baldur's Hop.
It's a Baldrshof thing that I think other Hofs have incorporated to one degree or another, but I think it definitely, certainly in the way that it's done, originates at Baldrshof. For folks that may not be familiar, each of our Hofs has a hero of our faith that is kind of their patron hero. And the hero for Baldrshof is the folk mother, Elsie Christensen. And so she has a special altar space there and, a special spot to be remembered and worshiped there at the Hof by, all of us who are so very grateful to the contribution she made to Asatru and to our folk. What is your favorite Hof tradition, Ashley?
I'd say our culning and our blessing of the mead beforehand. Call it our women magic and other fun names. But it's, the idea and the concept of the women folk being required to bless the mead and the centralized focus of what we're offering to the gods. That being a necessity for a ceremony is something that's just really important to me. Growing up Catholic, you were always, there. We were there, but there wasn't a lot of need, of us. You didn't feel it never had an opportunity to make any connection or whatnot. So being fortunate enough to have Brandy, and to have, just to have that centralized focus on what we can all do is great. And culning is fun and at first awkward and feels strange a little bit, but then it's really, really empowering and Mr. McDowell loves it. So it's a lot of
fun. If you guys are unaware, a big part of Asatru ritual within the AFA is that our ladies bless and prepare our mead, which is very often what we use in ritual. Sometimes it's, a different liquid. Sometimes it's beer. Sometimes it's ale. Sometimes, if we have children or folks that are not drinking, we also often have a horn of sparkling cider or something. But the idea is the liquid used for ritual gets special treatment by our ladies and imbued with a sacrality that way. That's always been very important to our folk. Tacitus, when writing about the Germans back in the first century, talked about the common belief amongst the Germanic tribes that the women had a special way of accessing the other realm that is different and is special and proprietary and can help imbue things with holiness. And we really make that a part of our rituals and a part of our things, and it's done very well for us. It's been a tremendous blessing that way. The practice of doing that in the AFA is long standing, but it was initiated. I talked last week, I think, about our Gothar that passed beyond the veil and how really special it is that we have representatives of our priesthood in the afterlife, beyond the veil, in a way of serving our folk who are there and serving us who are here in a really special and different way than we get to in our current existence on this side of the veil. And so that's really special. And of the two of our Gothar who have passed, Gothi David James, that was his idea way back when to incorporate that into AFA ritual. And that was one of the kind of spiritual gifts he gave our folk. So, question from Michael from Nordhof. Folk builders, do you have a preferred god and ritual/holiday? Which and why? Chris.
I wouldn't say I have a preferred god, because they all have very honorable and well-being aspects that we should all be looking towards in certain situational times and needs. But to choose on a ritual holiday, I would have to say with Sigerbloat, and then looking to tier for victory through sacrifice.
All right. And Jason.
I would say Odin, because Odin was what drew me to Asatru. What kind of finally got me to pull the trigger to get rid of the Christian baggage, so to speak, and move forward with our gods and whatever. I'd been being called for a while, and it was something that took me a while, but it was Odin that brought me to, I believe. And Yule is my favorite one. I've always kind of liked that time of the year, and that was kind of the right around the time that I made the decision to become Asatru. And I just love all the different aspects in the 12 days and all the different things that have to do with Yule. So that would be my two.
Excellent. What about you, Ashley?
I'd say the deity that I probably call upon the most is Frigga. Being a mother, has been the sole source of my spiritual strength since finding Asatru. And for event or holiday, I would say our charming of the plow in February, and for mild reasons that go along with the holiday itself, but for some very profound experiences that happened on those holidays with a ton of our members of leadership, that every year just seems to be amazing. So there's something to be said about that.
All right. Couple of orders of business here. First, a Third Hof member donated $200 to help us pay off Nordhof. That is much, much appreciated. Thank you so much. I've been tallying it on the side. I'm going to hassle Nick to make sure the thermometers get updated, because I'm ridiculous about that. I think the little thermometer progress bar things are the coolest thing ever. So I nerd out about that, much to perhaps Nick's chagrin, but they make me happy. So thank you. I appreciate it. It gets us that much closer, and it makes a difference. We appreciate you. Also, and this is something I did not mention earlier, but Producer Nick will throw up a graphic because he's awesome. This same member donated $40 to the Steeple Fund. Baldrshof needs a steeple. So part of the story of Baldrshof is we got it at an amazing deal. Part of the deal was because it was falling apart. So we've had excellent and dedicated members and leaders there, putting in countless hours of blood, sweat, and tears, making that place amazing. But one of the things was the beautiful steeple that was there had been not taken care of for a very, very long time. And it was rotten in a way that was very dangerous. So earlier this year, we had to remove a big chunk of the steeple. And as with anything, we want to make it, restore it better and more grand than it was before. Kind of rule of thumb is to make it as good as it was plus 10%. So we're gonna make that spectacular. We got a couple of plans of things we're gonna do, but we need to raise a little bit of money to do that. And the link that Nick put up helps us be able to make that happen. And the $40 that the Third Hof member donated gets us that much closer to getting where we're trying to go. So we appreciate it. Thank you very much. Also, another Third Hof member got generous and gave $100 to the AFA General Fund. We appreciate that tremendously. We'll absolutely go to good use, and thank you so much for your generosity. In the meantime, we have been joined from the Bavarian Alps by Gothi Rob Stam. So when you are not wearing lederhosen and blowing the what is the big Ricola horn called? I feel bad now. Anyways, when you're not engaged in alpine activities, can you tell folks who may not have seen you in your previous appearances where you are coming to us from and a little bit about yourself so they know who they're talking to?
Sure. That is an alpenhorn, by the way. So I'm coming to you tonight from Iowa, where I live now, but I spent most of my time in the AFA and my adult life in Virginia, but I'm here in Iowa now in Baldrshof country. A little bit about me. I'm been in the AFA since 2018. I was a folk builder and then a Gothi. My daughter Scarlett was the first baby named at Third Hof when it first opened, so that's kind of a pride point. And I've been Asatru. I found it in the military, so it's been a long time, 20 years or so.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us this evening. So, for those of you who don't know, Gothi Rob Stam is the Dean of the Asatru Academy, and that is our AFA homeschool program. And we are about to start, or are starting, or I'm not sure, we're kind of on the overlap period of the very beginning of the third year of that program. And Rob, can you tell people who aren't familiar, have never heard of it before, tell them what it is and what we have to offer with that program as of now?
Sure. So this fall we'll be doing kindergarten through sixth grade. What it is, homeschool in general is it's scary to some parents because they think, well, I don't have 7 hours a day to devote to education, but really that's not what the case with homeschool. You don't really need that. A lot of the school day in a traditional brick and mortar school is filler time. It's not actual instruction. And a lot of parents don't realize just how many everyday opportunities or everyday activities are opportunities to learn and for instruction. So it's really not as bad or as scary as one might think. Now, our program, we have as our academic backbone, we have what's called Waldorf Homeschool. Some of you may be familiar with that. It's a developmentally based education program. It's pretty traditional. That was one of our requirements when we were looking for an academic backbone to our program. There are Waldorf schools all over the country. It's not a fly-by-night new thing. It's very, it's set. It's been around a long time and it's proven. So that is our academic backbone. And then we have religious instruction that myself and Githia McNailen and other folk builders and Gothar have put together to go along with that academic instruction. Now, on top of that, so for example, in Waldorf, there is a section that the kids learn about saints, Christian saints. Well, we've rewritten that to have them learn about AFA heroes rather than Christian saints. So we go through and we look where we have to take a little bit out and put our own stuff in. And then we also supplement heavily with our own religious material that we've written. We have videos from various members of leadership that have contributed their time, whether it be reading stories or telling of the lore, etc. So it's a pretty comprehensive program. And then on top of that, so if your state requires, because different states requires different things. So some states require letters, some require you know, testing, some require you keep a portfolio of all the work. These things, we walk you through the requirements for your state, and then we help you. We help you stay in compliance with that. Now, of course, it being homeschool, ultimately the parent is responsible for staying in compliance, but we certainly we help you with that. We help you write it or help you keep track of it as best we can, and there shouldn't be any surprises.
Fantastic. What grades do we currently have available that we're enrolling kids for?
Currently, we have kindergarten through 6th grade.
Excellent. And just to let you guys know, a big thing that we had talked about was the commitment to at least follow that first kindergarten class through. So, you know, we were committed right now to have 2nd grade done with. But in that time, our volunteers have done an amazing job, and we have curriculum all the way up through 6th grade. So that's 3 times the projected expectation, which is tremendous. So we're very proud of that. From Coke Crawford, you considered allowing another AFA interview or article about the AFA, even if it was a quote unquote hit piece. It seems like the hit piece was a really good thing for the AFA. Hit pieces are most always a really good thing for the AFA. As I've said on here a number of times, the biggest factor preventing us from growing more than we are is the limited visibility we have to so many of our folk that need to come home to Asatru, or if they already, participate in some form of Asatru, need to come home to the Asatru Folk Assembly. It always surprises me when I find out from people that they didn't know we existed, and they've been wondering, they've been wanting something like this in their life and didn't know it was a thing. And those type of articles put us in front of eyes we wouldn't normally be in front of, and that brings a lot of our folk home. So we absolutely, we don't get to allow or disallow articles. People are going to write articles about us if they want, unless the intent of the article is, obviously nefarious or obviously meant negatively. We are willing to do articles and interviews quite often. We don't always get requests for it, and they come in different forms. I mean, we've been doing this long enough that even when they are promised to be favorable or about something positive, I think we all have a fair degree of caution knowing where that might lead and that they might flip the script on us like the Guardian did. But we still, participate in those a lot of the time because it does have a really positive effect. That said, we never want to create drama or controversy in order to encourage those kind of articles. It may accelerate our membership, but it's not the right thing to do, and it makes it very uncomfortable for local members who, are in the eye of whatever storm created. But yeah, we're very open to doing interviews and participating in articles about the Asatru Folk Assembly, assuming that people are coming at us fairly and not, not openly attacking us in the asking. Gothi Stam, being the dream of the Academy and an extremely fit in the dean. Okay, now I see the correction at the bottom. Being the dean of the Academy and an extremely fit individual, would you ever consider a physical education program included into your yearly program?
Yeah, so Waldorf itself is really focused on being outdoors, rain or shine. Um, so there is a lot of activity, physical activity involved in just the Waldorf program. But certainly, we always advocate that individuals and create healthy lifestyles, and that starts as a child. If you create those habits at a young age, then you're going to continue that on into adulthood. So yeah, we absolutely will consider writing that into the program itself. Yeah, it's a good thing, and we eventually we'd like to have kids playing sports and whatnot. We just don't have enough kids in one area to really make that possible at the moment. All our students are kind of spread out over the country, but it's absolutely a good idea. And we will do that in the future.
Fantastic. Yeah, I don't know if people realize just how far we've come. We've all had dreams of doing a lot of these things for a very, very long time. And it's in the relatively recent past that we got to the point where we can start implementing them. A difficulty has always been proximity. The few of us way back when who were in the Asatru Folk Assembly and participated in Asatru were often separated by many states in between, and it was very, very sparse. Now it's exciting to look at where our members are located. We've got folks all over the place. Maybe for someone just coming in, it may seem like there's not a lot of activity in one place or another, but it's so much better than it's ever been, and it gets better every year. The more kids we get involved in the academy, the more doing things like that, or doing kind of cooperative team up events becomes more and more real. Last school year, we did have some like field trip get together stuff for students in Minnesota, I believe. So that's cool. Some of that's already happened some, and I can only foresee more of that in the future. We actually have a question from one of the new kindergartners enrolled in the Asatru Academy. Question from Owen. Will I get to talk to other kids in the Asatru Academy?
Yes, absolutely. We do. Once the school year starts, we have usually weekly meetings where in the first part we talk to the parents and we ask them how things are going. We ask if they have any questions, are they needing anything, etc. And then usually the last, and it actually probably lasts longer than the parents meeting. The kids talk to each other and get to interact through video chat. And then also we'll have special guests on that read stories for the younger kids, obviously, and teach lessons about our lore and our faith. So there's absolutely a lot of opportunities for the kids to talk to each other and see each other, and they really enjoy that. So we highly recommend our parents do that.
Excellent. And his little sister, Alice, who is currently in preschool, would like to ask Ashley, what is your favorite Asatru battle?
My favorite Asatru battle. Wow. From a preschooler. I guess I would have to say, you put me on the spot. I don't know if I have a favorite battle. I guess my favorite result of a point of mischief being the story of Thor's hammer. And yeah, so that's my answer.
All right. There you go.
Just a little plug, that story comes up next week.
All right. So
One of them.
next week, Nick will be going into the details. Oh, no.
No, Frimiskvita.
Yes, no. Okay, cool. So I spaced the topic of next week's Victory Never Sleeps. next week, myself and Witten Swan will be going into that story in some detail.
Nice.
All right. So, let's see where we're at here on some things. So you guys are the most cold weather Hof, or I would say first, your Hof is the most cold weather Hof. You're also the Hof that gets the most seasons. How does that affect stuff y'all do as far as, I don't know, Hof events, your programs, your food pantry, all of the things that you do? Because we have quite a bit of activity in the, relatively far south, and then way out in California that doesn't really get a lot of the seasons.
Well, from my experience here, the last, it'll be 4 years, 3 years since dedication. This last winter was, we shouldn't even be able to call it a winter. It was disappointing, so we don't get that notoriety of like making it through a Minnesota winter. But the 2 before that had extreme snowfall. And so I have a ton of pictures of, especially like one of our members, Josh, and my kindred brother, or a random member of leadership, just up to their, at least mid thigh, if not higher, just trying to like shovel a path, to get from the curb to the door, and then another pathway to bring stuff out. And we're very lucky to be as close to the Hof as we are, but we're not down the street. It's for Nathan and I, it's over 2 hours, and and it's all kind of sprinkled in between there, but nobody's closer than an hour that's in leadership. And so getting out for every snowfall to shovel, it's not, especially just a path in the yard, it doesn't happen, and so you kind of have to game plan when you get here. And it's Minnesota, so probably the worst weather that we had ever. That was, it was absolutely ridiculous. Was Ostara, not this year, but the year before that. And Ostara is not in the middle of winter, but it was one of the worst snowstorms that we had. Even my Subaru got stuck, which doesn't happen. So yeah, I don't know. We never really know how to plan. And I felt like we were so prepared this year, and then nothing. Just nothing. Just 2 sleds sitting in the garage.
I gotta throw a flag on the play.
Uh-oh.
So Charming in the Plow, there was still snow on the ground, lots of it.
Okay.
And Nathan and I were outside doing, or Gothi Erlinson and I were outside doing the food pantry one weekend. I think it was January, and we had icicles in our beards. Yeah. So it absolutely was cold.
Okay, so everybody keep in mind, as was stated earlier in the broadcast, Gothi Stam comes to the Baldrshof district from the Old Dominion of Virginia.
Yeah.
Things a little bit different up there.
It's just a souvenir of winter. That's not a, over the top. That's just, that's just January or February, but no, yeah, it was cold, but also our school years this year weren't cut short at all. Our school years didn't go longer because of extra snow days. We actually didn't use any in our district. And so my daughter was out of school 2 weeks early because we didn't use any of our snow days, which is sad time to be alive.
Got snow days factored in. That's crazy. We didn't have snow days factored in when I went to school up in Alaska.
All right. Well, we're not Alaska.
No, you are not. So, question from Cody: how has being a leader in the AFA impacted your life, Chris?
I would say that since stepping up and becoming a leader in the AFA, my life has gotten more purpose than what I had felt I had lost when I had left the Navy. It feels great to be able to be doing something that is bigger than myself. And I'm happy every day I get to wake up and do what I can for the AFA, for our folk, and for the future. So it's been a grand time joining.
What about you, Ashley? How has being a leader in the AFA impacted your life?
Can you repeat the full question? Just how being a member of the leadership.
How has being a leader in the AFA impacted your life?
Well, I guess in a healthy way, it is our life. Nathan being in leadership in Agothi, who I got to join the AFA, I might add. Our lives have really encompassed all things AFA, and I say in a healthy way because not that it's all consuming. Sometimes it's a lot, but it's for us in particular, our lives are working together that way. Like it would have to, for just the way that we are. If he were just doing it and I weren't, I don't know how we would make that work, and vice versa. But it's like I said, it could be a lot sometimes, but it also, the significance of things being known like to the other person, so if he's dealing with, some situation or person or something that popped up, there isn't a need for like an explanation of why that's significant or important, like it is sometimes with our extended family or something like that. So that aspect is important, but also has helped us grow our parenting styles and our goals and our views and everything. It all seems obtainable, because we do these little things every day that are huge things, and these things come to fruition on our, from our own personal growth and things that we're doing, and then collectively together as a whole leadership team and whole church, and so all those aspects, you can really use as a template or a guideline for anything that we want to do, and it's a lot of time and work and sweat and tears and tired and it's, but it's also so freeing because it makes things so clear as to, what we can do and where we can be. And what, I'll stop saying we, but, and what, like I want, it's not, life isn't cumbersome anymore because I can do it, and that's been a huge aspect of leadership.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Rob, how has being a leader in the AFA impacted your life?
In many ways. I don't view it as so much like a job or even a volunteer opportunity. It's a calling. I feel like it's my vocation. That's about the best term I can say. It's made my life very fulfilled. I've met some of the best people in the world that I'll ever meet right here in the church. I've met, my best friends and my partners here in the church. And it's funny. Eventually you don't count time in months and in years. You're like, oh, well, that was 3 Ostaros ago, or that was 2 winter nights ago. Because the times that you're with your folk at these events, they mean so much that's how you reckon time eventually. It's just it's given my life a purpose and fulfillment beyond much else. The only thing I can think that even does that more is just being a father, and really those are the 2 most important things in my life, is the AFA and my kids.
Fantastic. So
Can I add one more thing?
you absolutely you can.
Gothi Sam reminded me, talking about his kids, what I wanted to factor in to my whole life wholeheartedly being affected by leadership is with my oldest, too, my daughter. She will be 16, and she knows the days. It's it's less than a couple weeks away, and she has really just really taken a liking to absolutely everything AFA and the church, and that steeple came down because of her and Nathan and one other member. There's, she's really dove into everything here, and Chris had taken a video of the children's blowout that she led at, I forget what event it was, but it's beautiful. It's great. I mean, she's all in it, and to see your kids, you see little kids doing things and being involved, and it's so cute. And, the amount of knowledge that they're going to have when they're our age is unfathomable, but seeing like your older child, really get it and just be so all about it is, I guess I didn't know how much that was lacking in her and I's life, so yeah, that's all.
No, that's fantastic. So if you guys have a, I don't know, broad district, if folks want to find activities near them, what should they do?
Should I go? I never stop talking, so I don't want to just
Go for it. That's why we have you on here.
Well, at Baldrshof.org, we have an amazing interactive calendar on there that has, you can see it in 3 different views too. If you play around with it, you can do like this week, the year, and the month, and it has all the events going on, small to big. So whether that's a virtual meeting or study group or something along those lines, or a local moot that's held in your area, or events that are being held by the AFA or at a Hof. And then also the national events are on there too. And then they're all hyperlinked, so you can just click on them and it brings you either to the link to Runestone if there's more information there, or it's a link to the flyer that has the contact information for the person or folk builder that is in charge of it. And it's all very easy to navigate. And you can also, it works on my phone. I don't know if it's just iPhones, but you can save the calendar and it'll impose into your calendar on your phone. So you can't ever not know, because then your phone will tell you what's going on.
But wait, what if there's not an event near somebody? Can they make one happen, even if they're not a folk builder?
Absolutely. Anybody can host an event or a moot. A moot is a meeting. It's a get together. It's a gathering of like-minded people in one spot, whether that be a park or a play or a coffee house or a apartment. It's anything. And yeah.
All right, so I need to dispel a myth. There is no AFA genie that gets summoned that makes events and stuff happen places. Doesn't work that way. I wish I was able to conjure up the AFA genie and say, go out to, go out to Nebraska and make events happen. Go. But it doesn't work like that. Every place that we have AFA community, AFA activity, and eventually AFA Hofs are because someone stepped up, looked around, said, hey, I want to do stuff. There's nobody near me doing anything. How about I try to make stuff happen? Yeah. And that is such a huge step. And I don't mean to make it sound like it's smaller than it is. It's a big thing, but it's a very simple thing. I think a lot of people, and there's so first, if you want to be a folk builder, cool. We would love to have you. If that's something that you want to do and that's something you're called to do, we would love to have you serve in that capacity. And we can get you set up, and we always need folk builders. And these folk builders make this stuff happen and organize it and get it set up. But something else that they do is they coordinate individuals who want to set things up and make things happen in their area. Maybe you don't want to go all in on folk building, but you're willing to host something. You're willing to make something happen. You're willing to be that guy that goes and does stuff. So much of this starts from one person opening up their home and saying, hey, let's have some people come over and we'll host a dinner. That's huge. That's how so much of this starts. Or maybe that, isn't what you like to do or not something you're comfortable with. Hey, folk builder, I'm going to go to, I don't know, Tito's Bar and Grill this weekend and have a burger and a beer. How about you have some people come join me there? Counts. That's a moot. It's a thing. And if you and one other AFA member get together and enjoy your burger and your brew, fantastic. Maybe next month you guys do it again and there's a third one that shows up. All these things start from that kind of grassroots, simple, but fun interaction. That's how this happens. I think it's really easy to see the broad strokes of Hofs or national events or these big things, but they're all built upon all those little small things. On hosting a moot where you're at and saying, hey, folk builder, how about you help me get some people to show up to this thing I want to do? Doesn't have to be fancy, doesn't have to be elaborate. What it does have to be is one AFA member reaching out and saying, hey, help me see if there's another AFA member near me, and maybe we can get together and do something. And that's how really amazing things start. So think about that if it's something that you're interested in.
And credit in Minnesota for that goes to Mr. Gallagher for sure. The boots on the ground, flyer hanging, folk building that he did was the absolute basis and core for everything that, not just Minnesota, but Baldrshof is now. And it just started with those little things.
Yeah, Jason snuck off and disappeared on us. But yeah, it started from next to nothing. This meeting is happening because Jason Gallagher, way back when, wanted to see this or something like it, and stepped up with a number of health concerns that just made, it's never the perfect time. It's never the perfect circumstance. So he said, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And he became a folk builder, and he, had a couple of folks sort of near him kind of come over and do some stuff at his house. And they did. And he had them get together and do some pizza moots. And they did. And had them get together and do some hike moots. And they did. Maybe they'd get together and have a meal and do a bloat and a ritual in his backyard. And they did. And, sounds like that's way back when, but not really. Less than, shoot. Doing that for a little while, relatively quickly. There was enough people close by interested in doing something that we got together and we hosted the first event that was kind of the prototype for this Freyfaxi that we're celebrating this weekend. But it was originally in September and it was called Fall Fest. And it was in, this house that was a strange house. This house was it looked like this cobbled together Lego house of all these different little rooms and chambers. And you'd go in there and there was random halls and bedrooms and guest rooms, and then like beds out in common areas. And it got set up. It was a house rental for some old lady sewing get-togethers. And that's where it started, where the first one was, and it was amazing. And I loved being at it. And now that was 2016. And now 8 years later, we're four years into having our very own Hof there, with people regularly gathering at that Hof every single month to honor our gods, to worship Balder, and to celebrate with our folk and to grow together with our folk. It all happened because one guy, in not the most perfect circumstance, said, "Hey, let's make this happen. I want to see this become something. Let's do this." And he did. And people got together and amazing things happened. That's how these things start. So if you want to see more stuff near you, step up and be willing to host. It can be as simple as, hey, if I Google someplace near you, or if you have a recommendation, how about you go sit there and we get some other people to come show up and we'll make it happen. If that's something you want to do, reach out to your local folk builder and they can help you make it happen and run all the logistics for you. It's very, very doable. So think about that. Another thing I want you guys to think about, if you're watching this or listening to this later down the road, and if you don't know, this is released as a podcast for the audio format on a bunch of different stuff on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, on Amazon Music, however you, also on Apple Podcasts, on however you get your podcasts. Get this, listen to it, or share it with other people you think might need to. Best thing we got is word of mouth. If you think other folks would benefit from listening to this broadcast or would just enjoy it, please let them know about it. Like, share, subscribe, send it out there. Got a number of people. This is primarily on YouTube, but we got a number of people right now watching this on Odyssey. We got people on Entropy, on Twitch, Twitter, Rumble, and in VK. So yeah, we got a pretty healthy following over on Twitter that's watching this right now. So hello to our friends on Twitter. So spread the word. That'll help. It's a big deal. Also, if you enjoy this, if you agree with what we're doing, and if you're a heterosexual white person, consider joining. We'd love to have you be a member and be part of what we're building, part of what we're doing. It's not some strange, far off thing that just happens. This is organically grown from you and from me and from every member of our AFA family that gets together and that shares in the gift cycle with our gods. Be part of that. Let's do great things together. Check it out. Our main website is runestone.org. It's got links and calendars and all kind of good stuff there. It's also got a join link so that you can, join the team and be part of what we're doing. Brian, it's good to see you over in the chat. Hope you're doing well. He points out, Havmal says, with half a cup and half a loaf, a full friend was made. That's a thing. Doesn't always have to be something huge together. Doesn't have to be something spectacular or dramatic or planned out or expensive or. It just has to be something. The biggest difference between stuff. Sorry, I got this really fancy robotic camera that follows me around and it responds to hand signals. So if I wave at somebody or does something, it turns on the little autofocus and outsmarts me. But seriously on that, a lot of people think there needs to be this perfect time and perfect place and perfect circumstance to host something or to do something. It doesn't. People think about it and him and ha and wow, busy this month. Well, I have family, and then next thing you know, we're gonna have the holidays. Maybe starting next year. I don't know. I got kids, and maybe maybe all right, maybe in spring of 2027 we can arrange something if I start planning now. No, how about maybe next Tuesday? Like you can make it. It doesn't have to be some huge thing. You can build to that. That'd be amazing if you want to get it there. But it's as simple as, hey, I'm not doing anything next Saturday. Hey, folk builder, we got some folks near me. If you want, me and my family are going to go, we're going to go to the zoo. We're going to go to walk at the park or go on a hike. If some other AFA people wanted to come with us, that'd be cool. And boom, amazing things happen from just that. So think about that. Is there anything else that you folks would like to tell people or think they should know about stuff in general or your amazing Baldrshof district in specific?
I'll go first. So this is a small representation, of the abundance of Baldrshof leadership that we have. But the continuity and communication and respect that happens amongst us is really substantial, and that trickles all the way down to every interaction that everybody has. So anytime that anybody's talking to anybody from Baldrshof, it's never superficial or like a customer service voice. That's how we interact. And I know that sometimes that's surprising because we live in a really like cynical world sometimes, and especially as of late, it's just I don't know, it's kind of hard to trust good or nice, and I guess I've just always like wanted that to be like very black and white, like very clear, like there's no other reason that we do any of this than for the rewards that we reap from each other. There isn't this a big title or anything that's unseen. It's us, it's the things that we're doing. That's why, you're not being used for anything. There's no bigger agenda, like that's unknown or secret or something. Like absolutely everything else seems to be. And it's comforting to know that those things still exist, just people working their butts off for the good, That's all. Come to Freight Vaccine.
All right. Anybody else? Okay. Well, that being said, it's kind of an early one this evening, but I know a bunch of us have got to get set and ready for this weekend's amazing Freyfaxi at Baldrshof. There's still time if you want to join us. Let's get on that, make that happen. Talk to any of your folk builders. They can get you all set up. It's going on this weekend in Murdoch, Minnesota. My family and I will be there. We got to get up real early in the morning to make that happen. So I'm going to go ahead and pack and get something to eat and get set and ready for it. I will also acknowledge that Sarah just bought us 5 coffees. That's $25. We appreciate that. Thank you so much. And Monk, absolutely, I will definitely have you in my prayers to Lady Air that she helps you with your upcoming test. That said, hope you guys have an amazing next week. Hope that I can see you at Baldrshof this weekend. Until then, hail the Aesir, hail the folk, hail the AFA, hail Balder, and remember, victory never sleeps.